Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to finally get to the important part of my Gatekeeper build, which is the MyTrick RC Attack Advanced Lighting System. So we're just going to go through what's in the bag, and we've got some pod setups to do for the rock light pods. There's two of them in the front that we've got to get set up and put together, so we're going to get those done, and then we'll start the install onto the Gatekeeper. So we'll get right into the bag, and we'll just get this set up. So this video might be a little bit longer because I want to go through this this whole process, guys. So I got these again from MyTrick RC. You can find them online. I actually bought these the night that they were on pardon me, Operation 11 Charlie. They were highlighting some of their stuff, and I was watching that stream. It was just before Christmas of 2021, I think it was, and I ordered them that night because I thought they were great, and I had the Gatekeeper kit just sitting beside me. Okay, so let's get into, we'll just dump everything out. It's quite a bit in there. You get a lot. We'll go through it here, and then I will get to the pod builds. So I believe that's the light bar. So you get a 2-inch light bar. I'm not too sure how many LEDs are in there, but all the mounting hardware is there. So there's our light bar. Here's the two lights that you need for the rock lights, the Underglow lights. So those are the LEDs that we have to build the pods for. So hopefully you guys can see those. So they're nice little boards, and they're flexible. The pods are right there. So we got the lenses and the pods, and I think they're 3D printed. I believe they're 3D printed, so I might have to remove some support material out of there. We'll have a look at them. They may have some support material they said that needs to come out, so we'll look at those. What do we got here? We got, so there's MyTrick RC, just giving you some information on the controllers. Enter the controller name into the search bar in the upper right hand corner of the home page. Select the instruction manual. Okay, so we'll just keep that to the side. Let me get my remote out of the way, and just a element Gatekeeper tag with all the items in it. So one 2-inch attack light bar, two pair of attack spotlights, which we have to build. One pair red 9mm waffy. Actually, I think those are the ones we have to build. And one light bar regulator, which is probably right there. There's your regulator. Okay, and the pods. So the pods are there, and then all you get a nice tree of parts for your what's the word I'm looking for? The light bar. B is the ones we need for the Gatekeeper. These two here we'll be using, so we'll get into that when we actually get the install going. Get that out of the way, staple out of the way. So rock lights. So I guess the pods I'm building are the back red lights, not the pod lights. These are the rock lights here. So they're injection molded with the lenses already in, and these two red rear, rear lights, I guess they are. Well, you got some zip tie stickers there too, which is nice to put a zip tie through to attach them. Yeah, so there's two of those and another two, so we got four, two for the front, two for the rear, and then we've got the splitter connected to connect all the lights to. So I imagine that'll go into the controller. And then that goes into your receiver for power, and there's all the, yeah, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so let's get into these right here, and we'll get the build. Just give me a sec, guys. I'll be back. I'll get set up, and we'll start putting these together. Okay guys, welcome back. I just realized that the first part there, before I got into this section, I had my TV on, so sorry guys if you were hearing my TV in the background. I was sleeping when I was putting that together. So here's your pods, here's your lights. From the instructions that I looked at, very simple to install and to put together. So you've got your lenses, you've got two lenses that come with it, and they say that the shorter end, which I believe is this end here, goes towards the front. So what they're telling you to do is take your pod. So here's your pod, and they look really, I didn't have to clear any support out of them or anything. They look really well 3D printed. I'm not sure exactly what they use for material. It almost looks like maybe nylon or ABS. I'm not 100% sure. But they tell you to put your pods in, so you get them in there, and then just take a screwdriver. I think that's the way they go in. And you push them all the way down, and we'll be able to tell. Nope, I think I got them in backwards. So we have to pull that back out. It's hard to tell. They say the short end, but I don't know what the short end is. Like you've got two, but I would say it's the squares that go in. And then yeah, there we go. Okay. Then you push them all the way into the bottom. And then you've got basically a light pod. So hopefully you guys can see that. So that's an easy part of the process. We'll do the same for this one. Again, they look like they're really well 3D printed. They're a good fit and finish. Really fit in there nice. There's a bit of white from the build plate there. Sometimes when the build plate isn't, when you're printing in your build plate, you don't have a perfect level. You get a little bit of residue off the build plate. And it's white because it's too tight to the build plate, but it's a little white there. I'm just a perfectionist. Okay, so that's that. Then you got your back caps. You can see the white on that one too. So that means it's just a little, there's some residue on the build plate when they're printing them this way. So they print from that angle. So what you have to do now is take one of your lights here. I don't know. Oh yeah, they're connected. Okay. So they are together. So you take your you can see how this has got two lifts on it. Maybe you guys can see it better this way. And then you've got where the wires will come out of the pod. So you take your controller, your light will be upside down to start, so like so. And you push it in like so. And then you just take that pod and you fold it over like so. So very easy to do. It's very flexible there, so that's really nice. And then they tell you to put a little bit of CA glue on the edges here just to glue that pod back. So I've got some crazy glue, which is basically CA glue. So we're just going to put a little bit of CA glue on the corners. Just a little bit. And you don't want where the wire comes out. So the wire is going to come out the bottom where the mount is. So then you just, again, you fold that over. And then you get it into the pod and you close it. Close it nice and tight. And I'm going to get a clamp. So I've got a clamp here and I'm just going to clamp there, and I'll get another clamp. And clamp there. And that'll keep your pod closed. And there's one pod. So that's pretty simple to do, guys. Not sure why they didn't put that together for you at the factory, but hey, that's not a hard thing to do. I'm not complaining about that at all. That's easy. So let's do the other one. I'm going to grab two more clamps. Maybe this video won't take as long as I thought, but putting it in the truck might take a little longer, guys. So I should close my CA glue. Okay, so we've already got that lens in. Looks good. We'll take our other light. Make sure we don't get these tangled up. And upside down again. And actually, let's get the CA glue on first. I'm just putting a little dab in the corners, like just a drop, just on the edge in the corners there, and then kind of pushing it down a little bit so it's not a big ball and it bubble and it doesn't come out on the edges. So there. And you can do that ahead of time because it does dry quick, but not that quick. Not quick enough that it'll dry before you you get them in there. So pot upside down, make sure it fits in there nice. Okay, fold that over. Yeah, so this one's being a little bit of a bugger. You got to make sure that you get that that board in there nice and tight into the notch that they've put in, and then you just make sure that when you're putting it in that it goes in like so. Snaps right into place. You can actually hear that snap, pardon me, and voila. So we'll leave those sit just to let them dry, and that's it. So now we can start getting into installing the rest of these goodies. Just wanted to mention in the bag, they give you all the zap straps you need. They give you zap strap stick-on tie downs. I'm not sure where they go. There's a sticker in there, MyTrick RC sticker in there, and you also get a 3M tape to mount your controller. So wherever we put the controller, right here, there's a little piece of two-sided tape in there so you can mount your controller somewhere in the truck. Okay, so we'll start building the other pieces, and we'll get it going into the truck. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we're back. So I've taken the body off of the rig itself just to make it easier, because most of this stuff is well, all of it is attached to the cage. So to make it easier, instead of having the truck here too, and because it's a flip lid and stuff, I took it off the truck. So we're going to start with the light bar, and the light bar goes up front here. So we have to take the front of the front cover off, so Lexan off. So we're going to do that just quickly here. They do give you a bag of screws, so I think this is a generic bag, so they've got some nuts and different size of screws and stuff in there for different rig installations, because this one is all zip tie installation, even the light bar. So I think they just give you a generic. So you've got the 4 screws here to use to attach the light bar to the mounts, and we'll get into that in a second. I'm just going to get this cover off. This is the only, this cover has to come off, and then the interior has to also come off. For some reason I should have left it off, but I didn't when I did my paint, which turned out really good. I'm happy with the paint on it. So we'll get this off, and then we'll get that light bar set up to put in. We'll put the mounts on it and get it installed. So just bear with me a sec. I don't want to lose these screws. So yeah, the paint job I'm pretty happy with. Turned out pretty good. I like the green and the pearlized green, and all the paint is pearlized, so it's got that little fleck in it. And then I just backed it with a solid black. So yeah, it turned out really nice. Okay, we'll get that aside. So the light bar is going to go in here. Now that that's done, we'll just move it aside, and you get your tree. And for the Gatekeeper, they're telling me I need to use mount B, which is these two. So we will get those off. And I just have a set of my 3D printer nippers. It makes a nice clean cut if you can get it in there. So yeah, you do get a whole different option of mounts here. So that's good. If I ever get other light bars, I'll have different mounts. But I'm not sure what all the other mounts are for, but it's a generic tree. They just give you the whole tree instead of just the 2 that you need. Okay, so those are off. We'll put that aside. We got the wire out of the way. So they say that this has to go to the top. So the pivot notch being at the front of the Jesus, I'm lost for words today, guys. At the front of the light bar, and it goes like so. So, and then we've got these tiny little screws here that go in there, and that's the ones I'm figuring go in there because they're the only ones that look like they'll fit through the pre-drilled holes on the light bar. So we'll get those attached. So yeah, this might be a little bit longer of a video, guys, but I wanted to highlight this this light kit from MyTrick RC and show you how to install it on the Gatekeeper in case anyone's looking to get it. They do have their own video, and I have watched that video just so I know what I'm doing. They don't give you instructions in the bag of how to install it. You have to watch their video. So when you go to their webpage, whatever vehicle set you're looking for, when you go to that vehicle and it lists all the light kits that they have available for that rig, you'll see on the right hand side they have setup videos. So very handy. At least I know kind of what I'm doing. So there's one, and then the next one, obviously the same type, snaps in like so, so it'll be mounted like that somehow in there, because it shows that it needs to be at the bottom section of this part here. So that's how your screws will go in. That's how it showed in the video. So in the video they do give you close-ups of this, and I'm just going from memory of watching that video yesterday. I watched it a bit, actually the whole thing, and then I watched the pod build one this morning, just so I know what I'm doing when it comes to the pod builds, and they're still over there being clamped and ready to go for the back end of the vehicle. Those I believe those are the red lights. Right now I do not have the electronics in the truck yet like I thought I would, but once I do, we'll get this lit up, and I might even have a battery that I can use through an ESC to see if I can get some power to it somehow, just to get us some idea what it looks like if I don't get the electronics in. If not, then I'll add it to this video when I do get the electronics, and I won't upload till I get the electronics in so that we can see the lights lit up. Okay, so now that that's in, we take our body and try to get as under the camera as I can, and it mounts right like in here, they say. So right in here is where it's going to mount. Or does it mount forward? No, I don't think so. I think it mounts back here. And then you just use a zip tie to place it in there. So give me a second, I will get this installed, or at least zip tied in partially, and then I'll come back. So give me a sec, guys. Okay guys, so we've got it underneath. You come underneath the cage, and it goes right down. You want to try and get it as tight as you can to this bar right here. So you put your zip ties through, and I just have them loose. And then you just tighten up your zip ties. Get them nice and tight, like so. And then your light bar is mounted in the front there. So they give you all the zip ties you need too, which is really nice. But if you want to do extra zip ties on it at all, you can, as long as you have the zip ties. So I'm just going to get it as tight as I can, and I usually take a pair of pliers up against and I give it a pull. Then I know it's in there nice and tight. Same as this one. Use a pair of pliers, give it a pull. Get them in there tight. And then I just want to put those zip ties so they're kind of facing down. And it's in there pretty good. It ain't going anywhere. So there, hopefully you guys can see that. There it is in there. So there's how it kind of sits underneath, and it's zip tied to that bar. Okay, so I'll get these zip ties trimmed up, and then we'll move on to the next set. I think I can put the cover back on, but I'll leave it off for now. I think I got to take the interior out, so I'll get the interior taken out, 4 screws, and then we'll move to actually no, it's the rock lights next here. So we'll get those in. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we got that all buttoned up and in there, and now we move on to a set of the Underglow, or the rock lights is what I call them, and I just want to see if there's a length difference. I don't think so. I think they're the same. And you get 2 of them per set, so yep, they're the same. Okay. So what they want you to do, from what I remember, is unplug one. You got that nice handy that you can unplug one. And it's going to go through, so you're going to connect one, and you're going to put it through this area here. The wire is going to go through here, and you're going to mount it up here. Okay, so the wire goes through like so, and you're going to mount it to the cage right in here, right in between these 2 screws here. Basically is where they want you to mount it. The only thing I don't like about that is there's a solid bar here that connect the 2 together. So let me do it this way for you. So the wire goes through, unless this one is different. Let me see the other pod. Where's the other pod? Is it the same back? Yeah, it's got the same notching in the back. So it's going to go, it goes right here, like so, in between these 2 screws here. So we'll get a zip tie, and we will so let me get the body mounted up a little bit. There we go. So another zip tie, and we're going to put it through the pod, and it's a really tight fit through the pod. And then you bring it around, and you zip tie it right there. So it gets zip tied right here. So I'll flip it for you, and it'll go right here. So then you just get it where you want it. You got to make sure it's going to be below your cover, so it's not beating the crap out of your paint job if you don't have a stock set paint job, because they're, whoop, that broke right off. They're little silk screen, so that zip tie went on me. So maybe not the best zip ties. I wanted to get it in there as tight as I could. Okay, so let's get another one. We're gonna have to get into my own zip ties now. So we're just gonna put that there for now. We're gonna go through the pod. Sorry about that, guys. But that's the hazards of zip ties, I guess, when you're trying to get them as tight as you can. I just can't go too tight, I guess. So there, that's pretty good. Oh yeah, that's nice and tight. So you got to just make sure that it's in there nice and tight. You don't want them rolling around. So there. And it's got to go down just a little bit more. Just so it's not beating the crap out of your, maybe if you put your cover on where it's sitting, maybe just put a piece of, like I'm probably going to put some type of tape there. Maybe a piece of metal tape, just so that doesn't beat my paint job and wear in my paint job if these vibrate at all, because they are just on with zip ties. But I think that's going to be pretty good there. So there's that one rock light. We'll trim off the zip tie. A little worried that maybe the zip ties will start to break on me, but I think once it's once we got the lid on it and stuff, and hopefully they don't break, and then that wire will go through that hole. And then we're doing the same on this one. We're going to get that wire through this on this side. So not a lot of work to get these installed. I'm taking a little bit longer because it's the first time I've ever installed this kit, and I want you guys to see how it goes in and how easy it actually is to go in. So we'll get a zip tie here. I'm gonna have to get another zip tie because I broke one. Through the pod, through the light. Make sure you got it facing the right way. We'll just get it started. There we go. It started. Bring it up to the side here and start tightening it down. And you can adjust them a little bit. But you want to get these zip ties as tight as you can locked in there. Oh yeah, that one went way tighter than the last one. Okay, there we go. So there's those front lights. They're set up. Okay, so now we can put the cover back on, and or actually we will take the interior out. So there's your front two lights. I might redo this one, so I'll leave the cover off for now. And then you can reconnect these two. So we'll flip that over, and then you can connect these two again, and then we will twine them together when we get the final wiring done. We'll figure out what we're going to do to get them all like so. All right, so you got that one, and then you got this one. So we'll probably do a little bit of zap strapping and stuff to keep these all together, but we'll get into that at the end. Okay, so I'm going to pull the interior out, and then we will, I believe the interior's got to come out, or we can at least do the back rock lights, but I'll take that interior out and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, okay, we're back and we're getting the back pods on. So I went a little bit further than I wanted to off camera, but what we've done is you take out the body, take out the interior, and then you just run your lights through, separate them. There's a bar here. There's two pod lights, so you just put them around that bar, and then the wire comes out. There's a little notch in the back of the interior here, and that's where it'll come out. And then you put two zip ties through the actual screw mount holes for the back part of the interior. So you're using a zip tie instead of the screws. So you just take those two screws out and you leave them out, and you use zip ties. So I've got the zip ties through, and the pods on. The zip ties go from the bottom up, and then you'll just tighten them down, bring your pods down, and you can do all your wire adjustments later. And then you bring your pod down, and then we're going to get that really close. This probably get that locking end of the zip tie right in there, and then you just tighten down your zip tie, and I think that's the end of her. So you tighten in your zip tie, get it in there as tight as you can, and then you just adjust your pod so it's sitting upright, and there's your pod. So not too hard, just a bit of a pain getting taking the interior out, but I just I didn't take it fully out. I just took the back two screws out, pulled it up, and then pushed the lights through. And then we'll sort out the wiring later. So then we'll do this one, push your pod all the way up. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I've got the pod on the zip tie, push it all the way up there. And the zip tie goes through the bottom of the pod where the wire comes out. You have to kind of bend the wire back a little bit. The wire comes out of the cap there that we built earlier in the video. And then we'll just push this all the way in, push the pod all the way up, and do the same. So we're almost there. All we got left is the rear rock lights. So once we get these in and situated, I will get that in tight. Okay. And then we'll adjust them. And then they're pretty good. I'm surprised that the zip ties are holding them in there pretty good. But the bottoms of the pods are indented, so they kind of go around the roundness of the cage. So then you get them in there, and there's your two. So there's your pod lights. You can adjust them a little bit straighter up or point it down a little bit more. It's up to you. Once we get them hooked up, we'll get some power to them. We'll see how they look. Okay, so there's the rear. All we got left is the last two back rock lights. So those are pretty simple. I think we just disconnect again, and I think I gotta remember where they go. I think they go right in here. So they're gonna be, you put your wire down through, and then they're gonna mount right into here, I believe. So just let me get them all set up, and then we'll come back. I want to make sure that you guys see what I'm doing. So if you have any questions of it so far, just leave me a comment and I'll answer you for sure. It's not a hard install, it's pretty simple. I don't think anybody would be having any difficulties. Just a body piece, like I said, I didn't take it out. So yeah, so I'll be back. I'll get the back pods kind of in place, and then we'll zap them in, and then maybe start cleaning the wiring up and see if I can find a way to get some power to them. I do have a Y splitter here that I found in my tickle trunk, if I can get it. So I've put it into the controller, and then I should be able to just plug in an iCAD battery into there and see if I can get some power to it. So I'll make sure I got a battery charged up and see if that'll work. If not, then we'll have to wait till I get the, I can't see why it wouldn't work, it's sending power, but we'll have to wait till I get the ESC in and the receiver in. But yeah, so give me a sec, guys, I'll be right back and we'll get the last 2 pods in and start cleaning up the wires. Okay guys, so we're back. We got these pods pretty much set. So you take your wire, you put it through this V, I guess you would call it, back here where the fuel cell, you know, it's an empty case, there's nothing in there, but where the fuel cell is, and then you put your zip tie on, and then you just, again, do the same thing as we have throughout the whole thing. You just, and you try to get it as close to this corner here, according to the instructions that I watched. And you get them tightened in there as best you can. So right into there, and you take your pliers again. Hopefully we don't break another zip tie, but get the wire kind of out of the way. And we take 2 pliers. I usually try to do this double-handed here. Hopefully you guys can kind of see this. I'll hold that down with these ones, and these ones will tighten. So there, that's about as tight as I'm going to get it. I don't like how that moves around there. That's going to float around. So these zip ties aren't tying it up as tight as I'd like it to be. So we'll do this one, same thing, just I'm wondering if I need to do the zip tie maybe the opposite way so I get better better tightening ability. Make sure you don't pinch your wires in there. Get them out from in behind the zip tie. So yeah, sorry if you guys can't see this very well, but this is basically it's. Oh yeah, that one went in a lot better. That one tightened in there pretty good. And again, try to give them just a little bit of an extra clip on there if you can. Yeah, there, that one tightened in good. Still going to float around a little bit. I think once I get the zip ties done, how I'm going to do the wiring, I'll try and get it so that like this one's really not very good. Not very tight at all. Yeah, I don't like that. So that's one thing I don't like. They have a chance of drooping there pretty good. So I'm wondering if I need to do the zip ties on the other way. Let me, I'm going to take these off and we're going to do it from the bottom and see if they hold a little bit better from the bottom. Just give me a sec, guys. Sorry about this. Okay guys, so I did this one with the zip tie the other way, and it did make a difference. There's still, this one just isn't wanting to tighten on there very good. So I might have to do something with that later on. But yeah, so there's your last 2 lights. And then we will connect the wiring. And then we will start working on getting all the wire buttoned up. There we go. Okay, so those 2 are connected. Now we just got to get all this wiring, figure out what we're going to do. Bundle up all this wiring. Maybe I'll stuff some of it down in there. Okay, so I'll get some wiring taken care of. And then we'll have a look and see if I can get some type of power hooked up to it here without the receiver in and the ESC in and see if we can get some lights coming on. Okay, so I'll be back when I get everything bundled up. Thank you very much, guys. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, okay, we're back, and it was a lot longer between the last clip to this clip. It's actually another day. So what happened was I've got all the lights installed, everything's working, but when I got the wiring all buttoned up and ready to go, I grabbed a Y harness that I had that would allow me to hook up a battery to it, a receiver battery from one of my fifth scales. And I got no power to the lights. So I thought it was the battery, but the battery was good. So I had to start doing some troubleshooting. So I figured I had something plugged in wrong, or I was missing something somewhere, and I wasn't. What happened was the controller, the small block controller that they give you, that you plug into the receiver and then out to the lights, the negative ground, I took the... I remember earlier in the video we showed it. It has the heat shrink over top of it. Well, I cut the heat shrink off, and the negative wire was not connected to the board. So it had missed being soldered to the board. So I got that soldered on and tested it out. Everything worked good. So we're all buttoned up now. I actually have all the electronics in the rig. It is 100% completed. So this is kind of the MyTrick video for the lights and the finishing of the build. So yeah, so everything's in there. We'll I've brought the camera down just so I can show you the wiring. So just easier for you guys to see it, I think. So everything's wired in now. We've got the 1080 ESC in. I stole a receiver out of one of my other 1/16 scale Traxxas slash that I've got, mini slash, so that I could at least get everything hooked up and running. So everything's working. I've tested it with the radio, got it binded with my radio and everything, and everything's running and good. So we got a battery in there now. If we look at the wiring, so I cleaned it all up. The right here is the controller, and that I heat shrinked it and everything when I got the black wire put on. So what I had to do to try and save a bit of, because you have to leave it connected, you don't have to, but with the body swinging, what I did is I put a 9-inch extension from the controller. So I plugged the controller into that extension and ran it down along the side of my servo into my receiver. So now when I fold it up and down, there's just this little bit of wire here that shows, and I used a marker and covered it up in black so that it doesn't show as much when it's closed. So everything's buttoned up. I've got most of the wire back here where the seats are, like I showed earlier in the video, that I would stuff them in there, and then I just use some Gorilla Tape, some black kind of greenish, I think it's black, but Gorilla Tape to hold them in there, and some zap straps, and a couple of their tie downs here and here, and zap strapped all the wiring in here nice and tight and neat and tight. So everything's up and working. We'll close her up and get the battery on, and I'm just going to turn my radio on. I got my radio away from the camera. Some reason my camera doesn't like radios. It gives a buzzing sound when I turn my receivers on. So we'll get the battery hooked up here, and we got a shorty pack in there, the Gen Ace Adventure shorty pack, 4300 milliamp, 4300 milliamp, I think, 3S. Fits in there perfect. Have to maybe play a little bit with these wires, maybe a little too long. I might trim them up eventually, but the motor is directly wired to the ESC right now. Usually I put a plug on, or I try to put a plug on, but I got it directly mounted. So I'll just turn my radio on over here, and we won't have hopefully any disruption in the audio, and we'll fire it up, and all the lights come up. So we got the 4 rock lights are working. It's probably really bright in there for you guys, but with it closed, so you've got the 2 red lights in the back, the pods that we built. So those are really nice. I like them. They're bright, really bright. The 4 little LEDs that are on that little board really are bright. And of course you got the rock lights, which are probably in perfect spot. I like where they're at. right over top of the shocks. Basically, this one's right over top of the shock. This one's a little bit further back, but lights up the rear really well. I wish I could change out maybe a different color. Maybe the lenses, I'm not sure. I might see if I can do something with the lenses to get a different color, a green or something, because of the paint job on the body. Yeah, and of course I won't put it right into the camera, but you've got the light bar in the front, which is really, really bright. So yeah, so there is the installation. Again, the only issue that I had was that one ground wire to the controller board was not soldered onto the board. Easy to fix. I just soldered it back on. The solder was on the wire was tinned and the solder was on the board. It was a bad connection, and maybe just from me trying to get it wired up, it came loose. It just wasn't a good solder, so not a big deal. I fixed that myself. Didn't have to get a hold of the company or nothing. I put the MyTrick RC's decals on it already on the front here, just a little one here on each side. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. So all you can see here, how I have it wired up, you can just see a bit of it here. So it's not interfering with anything. It runs all down the rail underneath the battery tray into the receiver. So no wires are interfering with anything. You can barely see them in there. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So yeah, so there is the Element Gatekeeper build, all finished up with the nice paint job on it and ready to go. So yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and it helps you if you're installing the MyTrick into your Gatekeeper. I highly recommend it. I do like the way it looks. It's going to look pretty cool out there on the trails at dusk and a little darker. I think it'll do a nice job. But yeah, so thanks for watching, guys, and if you have any questions or any comments on the install or anything you've seen on the video, please leave me a comment and I'll answer them the best I can, or direct you to MyTrick RC website to get some answers if I can't get it for you. You can email them. They're pretty good. Like, I ordered it and it was shipped out the next day when I ordered it. Good communication with them for sure that way. So yeah, so thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for all the subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, please give me a subscribe and give me a thumbs up and click that bell to be notified when I upload new content. And until the next one, thanks very much, everybody, and stay safe.